Ukraine forces keep up their defense of their country as hundreds of Russian missiles have rained down. Kyiv's mayor says the city is surrounded by Russian forces.
Ukraine's health ministry says more than 350 civilians have been killed. Hundreds of thousands are fleeing the country.
So the refugee problem will be massive. And here to tell us just how it's being handled is Stefan Lehmeier. He is with the International Rescue Committee nonprofit. He is the Deputy Regional Director for Europe. Stefan, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you so much.
So, Stefan, the estimates right now are 600,000 people may have already fled Ukraine. So I know it's very early, but what's your estimate of how many Ukrainian refugees there could ultimately be?
It's difficult to know, of course, because the war is just beginning to unfold. And as we see, it's getting worse and more dangerous for civilians as the days go on. At this point, the humanitarian community is estimating that there could be as many as 5 or 6 million Ukrainians leaving their country.
Wow, that number is just astonishing when you hear it, right? And we understand that your organization, Stefan, may deal with as many of those refugees, 100,000 of them possibly, right? So what will you be doing for them, and what do they really need most?
We are connecting with organizations in Ukraine to see how we can, together with them, support Ukrainians in Ukraine itself. This is still in the works, and we need to see what help is needed most. In the meantime, we as the International Rescue Committee are already responding in Poland, together with Polish organizations and through our own staff. And the 3 areas that we're beginning to focus on now are cash assistance to Ukrainians so they can go and look after their own needs. We know that cash is the most flexible and fastest way to help. We're providing information so people know what services are available to them and where, and what their rights are. And we are providing protection, which means we're informing and supporting Ukrainians so that they are safe from exploitation and violence and abuse that they may face when they're being displaced.
Yeah, as you mentioned, at least for now, the IRC is planning to deal with refugees in Poland. So when do you think you'll be able to actually gain access to the people that are needing help in Ukraine right now?
We're in the process of negotiating access. At the moment, the difficulty for our Ukrainian partners is to even provide safety for their own staff. The armed conflict is very fluid. Cities that maybe 1 or 2 days ago still seemed safe are now being threatened more, not just from airstrikes and missiles, but also ground troops that are approaching. So it's very difficult at the moment to set up these operations. But we know that the clock is ticking because supplies are running out and more and more people are being injured or harmed. So yeah, this is a race against time.
Yeah, you know, Governor Kathy Hochul has opened the doors for many who said if they need a place to go, New York is welcoming them. Is there any prospect yet for Ukrainian refugees to come to New York, and would the IRC help with that?
So our understanding is that the U.S. government is open to resettling Ukrainian refugees. I have not seen specific numbers or a specific program that is already in existence. Of course, the assistance that is being provided follows Ukrainians where they are going and where they're seeking protection. At the moment, those are the countries neighboring Poland and then maybe other parts of the European Union. But if and when Ukrainian refugees come to the U.S., the International Rescue Committee will be able to support their resettlement and help them start a new life in their new communities, including New York City.
I can't even imagine on a personal level how you must feel, that helplessness, even though you are trying to help. So, you know, even as bad as things are, we're hearing that there may be refugees that, you know, we have to worry about women and children actually being taken for human trafficking. Are you hearing anything like that?
So we have not actually ourselves seen that happen in the Ukraine crisis yet, but we know from our work around the world, also our work over the last 7 years across Europe, that this risk always exists. There is human traffickers who know that vulnerable people are less able to protect themselves from such exploitation, so they will be reaching out, looking for victims that they can profit from. Whether it's forced labor or sexual exploitation, these are things that we're seeing pretty much in every single crisis. So we're on the lookout for that here too, and trying to help keep Ukrainians safe from this.
So scary.
That is just terrifying to hear, right? And I think as you can kind of explain what's happening here and people watch it play out, so many people want to help and they just don't know how, right? So what can people do who may want to help? Should they contact you? What are the routes for them?
So at this point, because the situation is still so fluid and everything is being set up, actually the best and fastest way to help, and also simplest way to help, is to donate money, because this allows organizations to procure the items that are needed, hire the staff that are needed, and begin with the professional, structured assistance that is needed at this time. So this is what we were recommending for the moment, for sure, as the primary way to help.
All right, Stefan, thank you so much for being with us. We thank you for your time, and thank you for all the work that you're doing to help the folks there in Ukraine.
Thank you so much.